Let me start the discussion that we have initiated yesterday. And I hope you recall that I have started my discussion on a very important area in Islamic finance and banking. The area is the understanding of Islamic law, and then the application of Islamic law in the designing and the implications in the implementation of financial contract. So law and contracts, I hope you understand that these two things are very much interrelated in conventional theories also, and in case of Islamic banking, this importance is increased manifold. So if you are well versed with the basic concept of Islamic law, the same concept you are going to apply in designing and implementing and using your financial contracts. So that is why I have discussed with you that yesterday that our syllabus is designed in the way that the first two unit is primarily focusing on making you understand the Islamic law part. So unit number one, talking about the Islamic law, talking about the Islamic law, and talking about the Islamic guideline, which we call it as Sharia, right? And yesterday I briefed you what Sharia is all about and the basic concept, the basic sources of Sharia. What are the basic sources of Sharia? And then we ended our discussion by making you understand some important elements of Sharia and its guideline. With the same note, I would like to continue my discussion with the help of the PowerPoint presentation. So just wait for a minute. I will share my presentation. Are you able to see my slides now?
Yes, sir.
This is the last point where I ended my class yesterday, and that is the brief overview of the objectives of Sharia. That why actually the Sharia is implemented and is designed as a lifeline to all of us. Primarily, there are many objectives, but five broad objectives that Sharia serves, as I have already discussed with you, is the number one is is our faith on Almighty. Then it's all about inner self, which we as the human self we call it as. Then we have the knowledge, which is in the form of intellect. Then we have the posterity, which is our community, and finally, the important part for us is the creation of wealth. So this is the prime focus of the Sharia, and that is what in the language you got as Maqasidul Sharia. So entire Islamic finance system is designed to achieve these objectives. And time to time, the Sharia scholars try to match it out, try to evaluate that how far we are able to meet these objectives, achieve these objectives. And in any case, if we are diverting from the path of objectives of Sharia, maqasids of Sharia, that thing is not allowed. So every time Sharia scholars try to match that we are in line with the objectives and maqasids of Sharia. Now, with this, I would like to move ahead, briefing you some more important points about this objectives of Sharia. And in line of that, we have a very important area of discussion with all of you that Sharia, that objective of Sharia is to lead a life fulfilling these five conditions. And that is why our religion always advocate of attaining the profit, the benefit, but with the sense of what is right and what is wrong. So the understanding of right and wrong, and then thereafter attaining the profit is the sole motto of our guideline or our Sharia. With this, I would like to brief you about this very important concept. If this slide is visible to you, the concept of mas maslah, in, which in if you translate we call it as public good, right? Something which is beneficial for the society, right? What do you mean by something which is beneficial for the society? If you talk in a technical term, the profit. If you talk in the technical term, we call it as benefit, right? Now this masla is nothing but it is the way of achieving the objectives of Sharia. And that is why this has been said that it is masla is all about taking profit, but ignoring and repelling the forbidden. That is, we call it in the language, we call it as haram. So if something is not allowed, if something is forbidden, we have to try to make sure that we will have to repel that. And if something is allowed, then we have to go ahead with this concept. So masla is something which is, is seeking benefit and repelling haram. Right. So uh, uh, once again, I'm repeating this point that Sharia, the sole motto of Sharia is that we lead a prosperous, healthy, and financially well life. And in order to do so, we have a proper methodology, we have a proper device to achieve this objective. This device, we call it as the public good. That is something which we are doing for the society, which in the language of Islamic finance, in the terminology, the taxonomy of Islamic finance, we call it as masla, which in simple language, it is nothing but it is seeking benefit and repelling haram. This is the sole motto. Now, in order to apply this concept of masla, again, we try to categorize them, the activities, the understanding into three broad areas. Right? There are three broad areas. Now, before I tell you this, three broad categories of practices and activities which are categorized as per the Sharia, I would like to orient your understanding towards a very important theory which you have learned in your, maybe in your concept, in the paper of concepts or principles of management by Parvez Saab, and you have already learned in your paper of organization behavior, Maslow's hierarchical theory of need. Can you recall that? Hierarchical theory of need given by Maslow. Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. So, can you quickly recall what is that theory all about? Hierarchical theory of need given by Maslow. What is the logic of that theory? Yes, Mama.
Sir, it is divided into five parts.
Hmm. And
Uh,
these five parts are
Starting with
arranged. Yeah, you are right. These five parts
yes,
are
sir.
arranged in a particular hierarchy, where
Yes, sir.
topmost, and the bottommost, right?
Yes, sir.
And these five classification are represented in the form of pyramid, right? Inverted pyramid. The topmost are those needs which are the most important needs, and the lowest one are those needs, right, which are not needed for the survival, but they are important. So they are nothing. What Maslow have done, they have classified the need of the individual into five broad categories, and these needs are arranged in a particular hierarchy. Is this the theory all about?
Yes, sir.
Any other very important element of this theory? They have categorized them into hierarchy, but what actually is going to happen there? Then, what is the logic of arranging them into hierarchy? Hmm. Yes.
Sir, to understand the basic human needs, what is really important to survive?
Mhm. Okay, 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 okay. That's the point is that every individual strive for satisfying the bottommost need, and once the bottommost need satisfied, that they move to next level of need, and once that level of need is satisfied, they move to next level. So this natural progression from one level of need to another level of need is a driving force for every individual. हर कोई क्या करता है कि they try their level best to achieve the basic needs. Then after basic needs, they move to another category, and then another category, and then the topmost. So the point here is that the driving force behind every individual is how to satisfy the need. That is the theory given by Maslow in the form of theory of need. This theory of need, if you see what I'm going to discuss with you, is very much similar to what has been given by our Sharia. That You cannot place each and every need, every activity, every practice in a same category. There are categorization of need. There are categorization of activities and practices. According to this methodology of maslaha, the need is primarily classified into three broad categories. Number one, we call them as essentials, which in Urdu language we call it as zaruri. That is why we have zaruriyat, daruriyat. Here it is written in the language of Islamic banking and finance. Essentials. Then we have the second category, we call it as complementary. And then the third category, which is tertiary in nature, we call it as embellishment. So essentials, complementary, and embellishment. Can you link this concept which I have discussed with you? Somewhere you have read it in your paper of marketing also. Can you link this discussion with some concept of marketing? What you have studied in case of marketing, that every product has three shelves: core, secondary, and tertiary. Am I right? Am I right about this point or not? You have read this in your paper of marketing management, Afra? Hello?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible? Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. So this concept is very much similar to the same,
Yes,
that
sir.
we have the core product, then the core is surrounded by secondary elements, and then finally we have the tertiary element. Same is here. The human being has a core needs, core requirements, that we call them as essentials, without which the survival is difficult or is impossible. Then we have the complementary, which is, I would call it as secondary needs, which are supportive to the essentials, and we need to have satisfy that. Third, we call it as the tertiary, which are not compulsory, but they are important, and we call them as embellishment. We call them as embellishment, right? So this is what we have. Now let me move ahead with the description in context of Islamic banking and finance. The one is this, we call them as essentials. The first is essentials. uh, what are those essentials which are related to our interests here? Number one, according to Sharia, are these categories of activities, or these categories. Number one, faith on Almighty, then the existence in the form of life, then we have the intellect, which I have already discussed with you, the wisdom, the knowledge, posterity, your association with your community, with your society, and finally, the wealth. So, wealth, despite that it has been mentioned at the fifth position, but it is very, very important. So, faith, life, intellect, posterity, and wealth, these are the essentials. So, the first guideline of Sharia, the first set of objectives of Sharia is to fulfill these essentials of the life. If you are able to achieve these essentials of the life, that means you are living a prosperous and a healthy life. And if any one of them is missing, it's difficult for you. It leads to a big level of hardship in your life. So first category, I think there is no need to elaborate it further because it's already discussed yesterday. The important point is this one, which we call it as, which is very, very important from the point of view of Islamic banking and finance. What are they? The complementary, which is the secondary nature of activities. They are not primary, but they are secondary. Right? What has been given, that they are not essentials. But if you neglect them, if you ignore them, that will lead to difficulty. And difficulty then converts into hardship. And then hardship leads to, the aggression, the disruption, the problem in the society and the normal order of the society. So I hope you understand that hardship, problem will leads to hardship, and hardship leads to frustration, aggregation, and that ultimately leads to total disruption of normal life. Our religion is not, our Sharia is not that type of one which leads to hardship. We always, our guidelines are that you have to make your life simple, so that there should not be any hardship. You have to try your level best to overcome the hardships of your life, and that is why hard work and getting profit and benefit out of your transaction is 100% allowed as far as our Sharia is concerned. Right? Uh, you need to have overcome with the problem of hardship, because if you don't do so, it leads to a lot of problems in your life in the form of stress and then its repercussions on our day to day life. आप देखते ही हैं इस बात को कि अगर कोई ऐसी चीज़ है जो लाइफ में आपको परेशान कर रही है, तो आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड, right, what it leads to. It ultimately affect your each and every aspect of your life, even it affect your primary. At time it creates a problem in your in your ideology toward faith also. At times, sometimes it leads to, it has a very negative implications on your health. And when you are not healthy, how can you think of getting your wisdom? And if you're not healthy and full of knowledge, how can you link yourself with your community? And then finally, you're not able to achieve the financial objectives of your life. So everything is interlinked to each other, and that is why complementary, which is secondary in nature, which is supplementary in nature, are there to support the core. Islamic finance, Islamic banking and finance is falling under the category of complementary activities. Reason is that it provides the facility of elevating poverty, elevating the problems which are related to the financial transaction of your life. And that is the reason the Sharia allowed several types of contracts, which I will discuss with you in the later part of the discussion. But just for the sake of example, I have mentioned here the contracts of salam, the contracts of hire and purchase, ijara, musharka, mudaraba. All these are devised because they leads to the elevation of the hardship, financial hardship in your life. And when you elevate the financial hardship of your life, the primary things will remain intact. Primary primary your activities will remain intact. If your secondary things is if you are properly manage your complementary issues in your life. So once again, let me go back with the essentials. I have already discussed with you. The core is the essentials, which is primarily our faith, our posterity, our survival, our knowledge, and the financial health. But this is supported by the complementary activity, because complementary, although they are not essentials, but they are equally important because they provide the support activity, and they will help us in elevating the hardships of the life. And if the life is simple, that means you are free from stress and other problems of the life. Anything that you would like to discuss up till here? Essentials and complementary. What do you say about it? Any suggestion from your side? Any point that you would like to discuss? Hamza?
No, sir.
ये कुछ तो थोड़ा सा डिस्कशन होना चाहिए भाई। आप क्या कहते हैं, आपको क्या समझते हैं इस बात से? ये तो एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो बिल्कुल कोई टेक्निकल चीज़ नहीं है, ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है। और हमें ये समझना चाहिए कि हम पहले टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट्स पे आए इस्लामिक फाइनेंस के, उसकी कोर को समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आखिर ये डेवलप क्यों किए गए हैं, ये क्यों ऑफर किए गए हैं, इनका क्यों प्रोविजंस है, हमारे यहाँ क्या रोल प्ले करते हैं ये। तो अगर ब्रॉड रोल आपको क्लियर है, आपको ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्लियर है, तो इट वुड बी वेरी इजी फॉर यू to work in the area of, especially in the area of Islamic banking and finance. Mohsen?
Yes, sir.
So क्या कहेंगे आप इसके बारे में? सप्लीमेंट्री जो है ये इम्पोर्टेंट है?
सर इम्पोर्टेंट तो है सर, लेकिन आई कांट प्रोसेस राइट नाउ.
You can't? I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you properly. You can't?
I don't have any points to add.
नहीं, ये पॉइंट्स तो बिल्कुल ऐड नहीं, बट इट्स अ सॉर्ट ऑफ एग्रीमेंट और समथिंग. निदाल? Hello, Nidal? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Yes, sir.
तो निदाल, क्या लग रहा है आपको, जो आप टेक्निकल प्रोडक्ट्स हैंडल कर रहे थे ट्रेनिंग में, कहाँ तक दे आर एबल टू अचीव दिस कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री पार्ट? Do you agree that they belongs to this complementary aspect of the Sharia?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what is forward buying? I'm not able to understand.
That is what I said. That I mentioned this as an example. This is
Okay.
first of all, forward buying is a type of contract, like
Okay.
leasing and hiring. It is also a
Okay.
type of contract, right? And forward, the word forward buying here stands for that that okay, because you have raised this point, that I will tell you one very fundamental part of Islamic transaction, that buying and selling will take place simultaneously. Like what does this mean? It means that you pay the amount and you get the product. There would not be any sort of deferment or delay from both the end. आपने पे किया और आपने अपना सामान ले लिया. That is the end of the transaction. But at time this is difficult to achieve. At time what happened, that we pay in advance and we get the delivery at the later part of the period. For example, you have put an order for furniture and you want 50 chairs. Now 50 chairs may not be available at the time of the when you are paying. So what happened, that you make some advance payment and the actual sale will take place in the future period of time. So maybe the delivery of 50 chair play will take place after 15 days. So you pay now and you will get the delivery after 15 days. This type of deferment is allowed because of this, that it will it is going to help both the buyer and the seller. So buyer, they will get the commitment from the seller, and seller will get a amount to buy the raw material and manufacture the tables or the chairs. So this type of deferment transaction take place at the future period of time refers to a forward buying contract, which we call it as salam. So there are different shapes and there are different mechanisms whereby we can buy and sell in future period of time with certain conditions also. It's not always do it, but under certain conditions you are allowed to postpone your delivery or postpone your payment, and that what we call it as forward buying under the salam.
Okay, sir.
Now, it is. It is. I'm telling you, these contracts which I mentioned here are only the illustrations. They are only the examples. Of almost all products of Islamic banking and finance fall under the category of complementary practices. Reason is that these provisions of contracts are included in our Sharia because it will help us in elevating the problems of economic transaction and financial transactions. So when something is there to elevate your hardships and the problem, that fall under the category of complementary, provided it will not, break the general principles of Sharia, which I have already discussed with you. That is masla, that you attain the profit, but neglecting the haram, forbidding the not following the forbidden activities. Let me go ahead with the third category, and then we will be in a better position to discuss it further. Uh, yeah, the third very important category is this one, the embellishment. Now, what is this term embellishment stands for? Anybody out of you can tell me the meaning of this word embellishment? Yes, Aisha, what do you mean by embellishment?
So I think I have heard this.
Mm-hmm.
The meaning of it is something that is used for decoration.
Exactly. You have used the right word, decoration. Absolutely right. Embellishment is a word which is used for decoration. For example, you embellish your window with flower pot. So adding those element which is going to decorate. But here, decoration doesn't mean superficial. It's perfectly real, but it is used as the tertiary element. Is that what I have already discussed with you? You have a laptop. Everybody have a laptop and a personal computer. But you see, these days companies are not working on the core part of the product. They are working on the tertiary part of the product. Lightweight, color, yeah, design. handy. So they all are related to the embellishment part. They are not related to the core part of the product, but they are embellishments. But you cannot say that they are not very important. They are very important. They are equally important. Apple, they place their product under the category, and they are the highly priced products available in the market. But still, people are buying it because of this embellishment only. So embellishments are the features. They are equally important. Here, in case of Sharia, the embellishments are nothing but it is used for the refinement and the the perfection in our you know in our conduct of life. For example, the attitude, which we call it as the akhlaq, the way you talk to someone, the way your attitude towards the life, the way your attitude towards yourself and outside, especially outside. How do you deal with the people outside? Your compassionate behavior, your empathetic behavior will determine a lot about your conduct, and that has been rewarded. It's not something which is wasteful. It is properly rewarded. Akhlaqiyat, which we call it as. So, being as a, you know, as a human being, we all understand. Being as a Muslim, we all understand that they are placed at the very high level. Although it appears to be, a tertiary type of a thing, but your attitude, your behavior, your way of talking, they all is going to help you a lot. Sharia has a special place for embellishments, especially the concept of zakat and the concept of sadqa, for example. The purpose is this one, right? So, for example, zakat is the compulsory part, but when we talk about sadqa, what is this? And sadaqats are not only monetary sadaqats. Sadaqats can be of different form. Like if you help someone, if you assist someone in achieving their goal, in completion of their work, that is also sadqa. Even giving a proper advice to someone is also a sadqa. Even getting out and replacing a stone from the way, from the path, is also a sadqa. तो सदका सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि आपने किसी को पैसे दे दिए. Sadqats are also giving a proper advice. Sadqats is also to resolving dispute between the two. Sadqats are also of arranging a marriage for someone. These are very, very important doings which are being placed under the category of embellishments. This is a very, very important thing which current generation is missing. Reason is this only because we don't place them under the core category. We place them under tertiary category, and we pay less attention and knowledge on these embellishments. This is what I have already mentioned with you. Your your way of talking, your deal, your fair dealing, your attitude, and your level of empathy towards others is a very, very important embellishment activity that you all have to understand under this category of sharing. आज क्या हो रहा है? आज यही हुआ है. हम लोगों ने क्या किया है? हम लोगों ने बस ये सोचा है कि जो हमारे कोर है उन्हें फॉलो करो बस. उन कोर में क्या है? उन कोर में बस यही है कि बस 5 वक्त की हम गए नमाज पढ़ के आए, अगर पढ़ ली तो बस. और उसके बाद हमने समझ लिया कि वी आर कंप्लीट. Let me share this very, very important thing, that at time embellishments overcome your secondary and core activities. I'm not saying that you don't pray. I'm saying that pray is that is a compulsory part that you cannot. But ignoring the embellishment is very, 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 a big problem in the current, generation, especially in our community. तो इसलिए मैंने ये बहुत देखा है, स्टूडेंट्स में ये बहुत होता है कि किसी को अपने जैसे ये होता है कि अपने काम को ना बताना, अपने एकेडमिक काम को ना बताना. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. कॉपी नहीं कराना, लेकिन हेल्प करना है. दूसरा, किसी को प्रॉपर एडवाइस देना कि आप ऐसा करिए, ऐसा ना करिए. एडवाइस के बारे में तो ये है कि जब आपसे कोई एडवाइस दे तो आप बिल्कुल ऐसे सोचिए कि जैसे मैं ये कर रहा हूँ. जैसे आप एक अपने अपने एक रियल ब्रदर और एक रियल सिस्टर के लिए एडवाइस देंगे, ऐसे ही आप अपने किसी को भी अगर आपसे कोई एडवाइस ले रहा है तो आपको उसे एडवाइस देना. Assistance, very, very important thing. If you assist others, the Almighty will assist you in all your deeds. And if you don't, if you have this attitude that I don't assist anyone, then in that case, the Almighty will already have a plan for you. आप देखते रहिए कि वो हार्डशिप आपके सामने आएंगे. तो इसलिए हमें एम्बेलिशमेंट्स को बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंस दी जाती है, और दैट इज़ वाई दिस इज़ द कोर डिफरेंस बिटवीन कोर फाइनेंस एंड इस्लामिक फाइनेंस, दैट इस्लामिक फाइनेंस नॉट ओनली टॉक अबाउट द कोर and the secondary element. We talk and we focus a lot on the embellishment part in achieving that. And that is why the concept of fair dealing, the concept of disclosure, the concept of corporate governance, the concept of social, the customer relationship management, all is what it's about embellishment. So the concept of our day-to-day life is being implemented in its fullest form in the concept of Islamic banking and finance. That is the core difference between Islamic finance vis-a-vis to conventional finance. So, what is your say on that, Aisha? What do you say about this? Do you think that's important?
Yes, sir, definitely it adds.
Hmm. Afra?
Yes, sir. Sir, is Sadqa part of this?
Yeah, Sadqa is a part of this, embellishments.
Okay.
That's I
Yes,
already
sir.
discussed, not compulsory, but if you do
Yes,
so,
sir.
you will be rewarded.
Right.
You recall,
Praiseworthy.
yeah, you recall the format which I have discussed in my last class,
Yes,
five
sir.
broad
Yes.
categories. Yeah, five broad
It,
categories. So in
yes,
that
sir.
category,
It comes under praiseworthy.
exactly, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
It comes under the
Okay.
category of fixed. It's very very important for all of us. और जैसा मैंने आप
Mm.
लोगों को बताया ना, कभी कभी कोर एक्टिविटीज़ का इतना वो नहीं होता है, रिवॉर्ड नहीं है जितना एम्बेलिशमेंट्स का है। हम उसको बहुत लोअर उस पे रखते हैं, स्टेटस पे रखते हैं, लेकिन यकीन रखिए इस बात पे कि ये एक बड़ा ही इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है। जैसे मैंने अभी आपको बताया, हेल्प करना, दूसरे की सही एडवाइस देना, जो आप अपने लिए सोच रहे हैं वही दूसरे के लिए सोचना, किन्हीं दो लोगों के बीच में कोई डिस्प्यूट है उसे ख़त्म करना, बहुत बड़ा दर्जा है उसका, बहुत बड़ा दर्जा। और अगर कुछ और कोई ऐसी बात है जिसे आपको ऐसा लगता है कि मैं अगर उससे बताऊँगा तो 2 लोगों के बीच में कुछ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो सकता है, तो उस बात को ना बताना कि इन दोनों के बीच में कोई ऐसा डिफरेंस आ जाएगा या कुछ ऐसा हो जाएगा। और छोटी-छोटी चीज़ें हैं लाइफ के लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रोल प्ले करती है, एम्बेलिशमेंट्स जो होते हैं। यही फाइनेंशियल ट्रांज़ैक्शन के अंदर भी बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट रोल है। हम सब लोग इस सब पे बहुत लो हैं, मैं खुद भी अपने आप को उसमें इंक्लूड कर रहा हूँ, शामिल कर रहा हूँ। और हमें इस बात को बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट उसमें रखना चाहिए कि ये वो चीज़ें हैं जो गाइडलाइन हमें मिली हैं। इसमें कहीं कोई डाउट नहीं है कि ये नहीं है या ऐसा नहीं है या फलाँ कह रहे हैं या ये नहीं कह रहे हैं या ये सही है या ये गलत है। तो कोई सही गलत नहीं है। ये फैक्ट्स हैं, ये वो फैक्ट्स हैं जो कभी चेंज नहीं होने वाले टिल द एंड ऑफ द लाइफ। तो इनको रखना है, इनको हमेशा इसको आपको उसमें रखना हो। यही इसीलिए जब आप फाइनेंशियल ट्रांज़ैक्शन करते हैं तो आपको यू हैव टू थिंक ऑफ इट दैट बेनिफिट इज़ द मोटो, बट एम आई कंप्रोमाइज़िंग विद द एम्बेलिशमेंट्स और नॉट? Never compromise with your embellishments because they are attached to it. And if they are attached to it, then definitely they have a role to play. And at time, if you put embellishments at a higher side, you will get the benefit in your secondary part, and you get the benefit in your core part also. ठीक, ये थोड़ा सा हमें इसको सोचना चाहिए। और बहुत सारे ऐसे हमारे पास मतलब हदीस भी हैं, और बहुत सारे हमारे पास ऐसे नोटेड किस्से भी है, जिसको हम कहते हैं, जो है हमारे पास फैक्ट्स हैं हमारे पास, जहाँ पे एम्बेलिशमेंट्स को बहुत बड़ा एक वो दिया गया है। फेथ, और फेथ के बाद अगर कोई चीज़ है तो वो एम्बेलिशमेंट्स है। इंसान का जो अखलाक है, इंसान का जो उसका जो लाइफ का एक स्टाइल होता है, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है उसकी ओवरऑल कंडक्ट। बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली वी ऑल हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट we all have to go for the day of judgment. So have we, now all of us now we have a double responsibility. Double in the sense that prior to that we don't have a knowledge, but now we all are knowledgeable and we understand the importance of embellishments. So it's now our duty that overcoming with any sort of problem that we have done or we have created, right? And regret from that, and understand that embarrassments have a role to play and it needs to be reported. Okay, so let me come back to our main point. Anything else that you would like to add on this, Umama? Fine. So let me quickly revise what I have discussed with you today. The purpose is that I discuss with you a core, the maqasid of Sharia, which is already been there. Then I have discussed with you a very important methodology which is used in Sharia, which is the methodology of masla, which is nothing but literally it stands for taking benefit without taking the haram into consideration. Then we have the three broad categorization under this masla. We have the essentials, which are the core. Then we have the complementary, and then we have the embellishments. With this, I would like to end up today's discussion. And tomorrow I will again, and then I will start the technical part of this Sharia and all. Tomorrow I am going to discuss with you three important principles of Sharia, which is going to play a very important role in our transition with Islam. So with this, I would like to conclude today's session. ठीक है? अच्छा, एक इम्पॉर्टेंट बात ये थी कि आई रिसीव्ड अ ईमेल फ्रॉम IIRM मसूद साहब, एंड ही इज he
Yes,
write
sir, we have resolved that issue. Yes, sir.
हाँ
We
हाँ
have
हाँ
talked with him yesterday. Yes,
हाँ
sir.
he said that nobody has responded to my project. Only Nahid has developed a questionnaire, and please don't do that. Try
Sir,
to
actually,
understand.
we are doing it together. Sir has told us to make a single
Sure, sure.
questionnaire.
No
Uh,
problem. I understand,
yes, sir.
Abra. So please,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I understand. It's a group assignment. So
Yes,
do
sir.
it and complete it as per, Masood Saab is your mentor right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He is a very good person. I know him personally. He's your mentor. So try to take it in confidence. Whatever you do,
Yes.
communication is very, very important. Just drop a message to him every day
Yes,
or
sir.
after every 2 days so that he will remain in touch and get informed
Right,
that
sir.
this is what you are doing. And because Umama is here, Aisha is here, what about with Shafat Saab? I think Shafat Saab will join after the gap, after the break. So what we can do, we can have our own meeting first of all, and I will see what type of project you have done. And if you trust, then I will give my inputs also.
Okay, sir.
ठीक है. और निदान क्या चल रहा है?
Yes, sir.
ट्रेनिंग का क्या चल रहा है?
Well, I'm done with the internship. Nothing much is going on now.
कैसा रहा एक्सपीरियंस?
So I think it was good, but not too much of practical work was done. Through me, because most of the work they do is pretty much confidential, because they deal with the banking details of individuals, so they can't share everything with me. But they have shown me the how they operate, and what are the operations and the software they
अच्छा
use, and how they make accounts and everything.
अच्छा अच्छा.
uh,
चलो
and
चलो, कोई
along with
कोई
that,
इशू नहीं है. चलिए,
yeah.
कोई इशू नहीं है. This is a sort of a training. You cannot
Okay.
expect that they will give you each and everything.
Yes, sir.
You will get more opportunities. Hamza,
यस सर. सर कंप्लीट हो गई है. और अब
कहाँ
एक
करी थी
लास्ट
आपने हमजा?
प्रेजेंटेशन. सर निदाल के साथ ही करी थी हमने तकवा
अच्छा, निदान.
कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी में.
अच्छा,
जी.
ठीक है. नफीस का क्या है, नफीस?
यस सर, मैं
He,
AIRM में कर रहा था.
हम्म.
AIRM में.
अच्छा, AIRM में नफीस वापस. ठीक है. ओके. सो वी विल डिस्कस इट लेटर. ओके.